Hi, I'm Carl Taylor. Welcome to this week's photo breakdown. In this week's episode, we're going to look at this image and exactly how it was captured with all of this paint exploding around and over our model.
Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Use coupon code CARL to get a 10% discount.
So let's run through exactly what we've got on screen here. This is our model Sophie, who was a great sport on this particular shot. And you can see we have these wonderful, energetic, dynamic sheets of red and blue paint flying all around her, all over the place, all captured in that perfect moment with the fast flash duration. Now, if you actually want to watch this shoot and see it in its entirety, you can do that on carltayloreducation.com because it is one of our classes. But I'm going to walk you through it now, how it was done, and show you the lighting diagram. So if we start off down here, there's the block that Sophie was stood on. So basically I had Sophie elevated off the ground a little bit, just a little bit easier for me to shoot from my position to capture. Just looking up at her, I wanted it to be a little bit more towering on the shot. So there we have the camera, and then we have a grey background. In fact, in this particular one, it was just a standard Colorama 9-foot wide paper background in a mid to dark grey. Then we have our model, Sophie. She's got blonde hair in the lighting diagram, but she's actually got darker brown hair. And then we have a bank of speed lights. And I say a bank of speed lights. I had 3 speed lights clustered together because I was using speed lights at this time to capture that fast flash duration that speed lights offer. This was before I actually moved to Broncolor equipment, where I was using the fast flash duration, or I use it now with the Bron gear. But at the time, I used to do a lot of my high-speed work with speed lights. The problem with speed lights, of course, is that they're not as powerful and you can't get as much light out of them. So what I did was combine multiple speed lights together to get more light energy, basically. So we have 3 speed lights there. And then to soften that light into a more usable, friendly light, I use a scrim in front of those. That again gives me a lovely gradient radial glow. If you'd like to learn more about that and the lighting techniques, that's all covered on the class and carltayloreducation.com. But essentially what we're looking at is changing from sort of very harsh light into these lovely smoother sheets of light that affect glossy surfaces. If we'd used a softbox, we wouldn't have got quite the same look. We would have had an homogeneous light source with a hard defined finishing edge, which doesn't give you quite as nice a result on glossy surfaces. But I say that's all covered in the technical aspects of lighting on carltayloreducation.com. So if we move back here, we have the scrim on the left. We also have another bank of speed lights on the right and another scrim on the right hand side as well. And then moving on from here, we have a beauty dish on a giraffe boom. I call it a giraffe boom, but basically it's a large boom arm that gets your light up high out of the way. And this light is at a 45-degree angle above our model's head, just a metre or 2 away from her, probably a metre, metre and a half. And you can actually see that light in her eyes, at the top of her eyes. And then you can also see that beauty dish reflecting just there in that bit of paint at the top there. So the beauty dish is lighting the upper portion of the shot, the upper body part of the shot, the area where we want to draw attention to. And then if we move on to the back, here we have a studio light on the back left, on camera left, and also we have another one matching on the back right. Now those have a honeycomb grid on, which is a grid that tightens the beam of light so that it can go to a more specific direction and space. And in this instance, these 2 lights are pointing just at Sophie's head to give that brighter, higher contrast, dynamic look down the edges of just the face only. Notice that there is lighting down the edge of the body here. You can see it down the waist and you can see it down the legs, but you can see that on the head and the face area, it's certainly a lot brighter. And that's because the lighting on the head, the sides of the face, is coming purely from those two honeycomb gridded studio lights that you can see here. The lighting down the body is coming from an additional light that's softer. This is a large 30 by 120 size type softbox. That's a vertical strip box, or set vertically. You can use them horizontally, of course, as well. Here it's set vertically to match the length of the body. There's one on the left and there is one on the right. And those two lights are producing that softer light coming down the side. Remember that smaller light sources will give us a harder, higher contrast light, and larger light sources will give us a softer look to the light. Hence why also we're increasing the size of the light source from the speed lights by using the scrim. As I say, all of this is covered in the actual class on Carl Taylor Education if you want to watch the whole thing there. Now, further to that, we have a sheet of glass here in front of the camera because I've got all this paint flying towards the camera, so I need to protect the camera. So I'm shooting through a sheet of glass that is protecting the camera. We then have an assistant throwing red paint from a bucket on this side and an assistant throwing blue paint from a bucket on that side, and I'm just having to time it with the camera when I think it was going to be the appropriate moment to shoot. And actually I've got a couple of screenshots here just from the video, and you can see the setup here where you can see the model just about getting blasted with paint. You can see we've got the studio floor with protective sheeting down. You can see the cluster of 3 speed lights here going through the scrim, and then it was, trying to capture that moment when the assistants threw the paint at the right position. There's another one there. Now, as you can imagine, this required many attempts to get it actually correct because the timing of it was quite difficult. So each time the assistants then had to wash the model down with wet sponges to get all of the paint off of the model. It's all covered in the video on carltayloreducation.com along with hundreds and hundreds of other classes going deep into lighting techniques and many different genres of photography. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Carl to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.